All right, please welcome our next team. We have 2 more to go if you're counting, so we're almost there. Please welcome Team SavR from Forsyth Tech, Atkins, and Painter Creek High Schools. Andy, Andrew, and Smriti. Inspired by the food waste and food insecurity in our cities, our group joined forces to attempt to solve the issues present in our communities. Through our innovation and commitment, our goal has blossomed into SavR, an app that aims to support those struggling with food in our society. Welcome. Let's give them a big round of applause.
Good morning. First, I want to start off with a question. Have you ever witnessed food just being thrown out? Have you witnessed the amount of food that's been wasted and wondered who that could have helped? That's why we have a solution for you, SavR. And as a team, we collaborated and created an application to help underprivileged families and local businesses and combat this food insecurity within North Carolina.
Hi, my name is Andy. I'm a sophomore at the College of Forsyth.
I'm Andrew, sophomore from Atkins High School.
And I'm Smriti Balaji, a sophomore at Panther Creek.
I want to start off with a question today. How many of you guys ate breakfast when you woke up? That's a good amount. And it's great that you guys are staying healthy and nutritional. But this is the point I want to make today, is the fact that food, it should be a right, not a privilege. And unfortunately, food is a privilege. Because some people woke up today and they did not have access to eat breakfast. They did not have the right to get food for breakfast. And they didn't have any food that they could eat. And this brings us to our statistic.
So in fact, over 1.4 million people in North Carolina are facing food insecurity. So according to a report in 2024, June 6, by the Food Bank of Central and Eastern North Carolina, roughly 1 in 7 individuals are facing food insecurity in NC. And compared to the report in 2023, there's over an increase of 244,000 people who were reported as food insecure. And of those new people, over 95,000 were children. So increasingly disproportionate amount of people facing food insecurity are children.
This is why we have 3 main target audiences for our application. First, local business and nonprofits. This gives us a way to connect with their excess food or connect with them so they can connect with our second part, which is low-income families. Secondly, we also want to include college students. We know North Carolina has so many colleges, and connecting with these college students could definitely be the success of the app. And thirdly, low-income families. Now moving on to our statistics. Over 1.2 million people are facing food insecurity in North Carolina, and this accounts for 23% of undergraduates and 12% are graduates. So this gives us the opportunity to collaborate with those college students. And secondly, North Carolina ranks for 9th in the US for just food insecurity, which makes this a prevalent problem and an issue that needs to be solved. And now, to further support our cause for SavR, we have some people that were reported food insecurity in North Carolina. First, Dwayne Perry claims that not having good supermarkets in North Carolina can lead to people suffering from illnesses such as diabetes and obesity. Secondly, Hope Ward claims that many people in North Carolina aren't getting sufficient amount of wages to even pay for their day-to-day meals. That's why we want SavR to have a donation application to pay for those people.
So SavR aims to solve this problem through 4 simple steps. So once businesses and restaurants register on our app, they can make posts about their excess food. And once they do, the app will notify other users that are registered, like local nonprofits, college students, low-income families, about the post. And then they can reach out to the local businesses and restaurants and set up the transaction. And then since SavR has established a connection between both parties, they can continue to give their food surplus to them. And if restaurants or businesses suddenly one day have more food surplus, they can create new posts to connect with more people.
So how does SavR become an app? So I have worked in a restaurant for about 7 to 9 years because my parents own a restaurant, and having seen how restaurants work and operate all these years, I've seen a lot of restaurants, at the end of the day, they just throw away all their excess food. I'm sure you've seen this on social media. Have you ever seen videos of Dunkin' Donuts and Krispy Kreme throw away just boxes and bags of donuts at the end of the day? Well, that's true, and it's a very real thing. And also through my vast volunteer experience at food banks, such as the Second Harvest Food Bank, we've also seen that their inventory needs a lot of food constantly because there's so many families that come to these nonprofits and they need this food. And so SavR addresses the first step to connecting the loss of food waste. So what makes SavR unique by itself? Well, SavR presents a very simple, clean, and easy to understand UI. So this means businesses and nonprofits, they can easily make a post about whatever resources they need, whatever food they need, so that they can easily match together to see if they're compatible. And so here's our app demo. So first, SavR is compatible with both iOS and Android. I will be demoing this on an iOS device, but it's compatible with both. We can first begin by choosing to log in or creating an account. In this case, I'll just go ahead and log in. And once we're on the home page, we can see a post. And we can see that we don't have a post, so I'm going to go ahead and create a post. We're going to go ahead and create a donation. And in here, we can select images. And we can select up to 5 images of food. So I'm going to go ahead and select like 3 images of some seasoning, some food that I have in my photo gallery. And then once we're done with that, you can scroll down. We can go ahead and add what type of food it is. So we can add like fruits or vegetables. And then we can also, in this case, it's prepared meals. We can also input the amount we have and what type it is. So like items, pounds. We can also create a short description of the food. So I'm just going to type something out here. And once we're done with that, we can set an expiration date or mark as urgent in case the food is perishable or needs to be quickly picked up. We can also set a place to pick up the food. So an address in this case, I'm just going to put my school's address right here. And we can also set like a pickup or delivery time, but that's not really necessary. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit create post. And once the post has been created, we can see that this post is on the main page. So anybody who uses this app, anybody on a different account or different phone, they can see this post in real time because this post is uploaded to a database. Now let's say I was on a different account and I want to eat this food because I think it looks really good, right? I'm going to go ahead, scroll down, I'm going to hit request this food. And once I go ahead and request it, then I can send a request to the original poster. And then the original person who posted this can go ahead and accept this bid or reject it, depending on if they like this person or not, I guess. They can also choose to contact the bidder if they have like any allergies or if they want to meet up specification or anything like that. They can choose to contact the bidder. And lastly, the user has a personal profile where they can keep track of all their donations, their sales, and their requests for food. As you can see, we have 1 donation listed right here, the one we just made. And users can also choose to put their name and their username, their bio, and all this information in their personal profile. And once the user is done, they can go ahead and log out. So what are the next steps for SavR? Well, for SavR, we want to help implement this with nonprofits because I've worked at like restaurants and I've also volunteered at nonprofits. So I've seen how like the nonprofit inventory works, and there's a lot of stuff going in and out. And it's very hard to keep track of what's in here and what we need as a nonprofit. And so what SavR does is, as you can see, it tracks the donations that they receive, right? So we can help implement this app to local nonprofits. And we also want to implement security measures so that when people donate to a nonprofit or like a soup kitchen, they know that this is a credible nonprofit. We're not just donating to some random guy, right? We have a verification system and we want to implement this.
So thank you for savoring this moment with us. SavR, save, and share through SavR. Thank you.
I'll shake things up and go first. So I have 2 questions. I'll start with the first one, which is, do you have any considerations for bad actors or people who are on here just like taking food because they can? And that might be on the bidder side and also on the offerer side. Like, do you have any considerations for people doing bad?
Yeah, so we use an SQL backend. That means all our data is on the backend, so we can keep track of all like the profiles. And so if we see someone like misusing the app, we can easily just boot them. We have the power to like delete posts and whatever. So we have a moderation system in our admin database and administrator database.
Can I add one extension to that question? Not only could somebody abuse the consumption of free food, but I think you probably need some type of identity verification system, because someone also could be malicious as it relates to giving away free food, right? If somebody's consistently giving away food that's poisoning people, you want to be able to attribute where that's coming from. So just wanted to add that as an extension to the point that's been made.
Yeah, awesome. And then my second question is, unfortunately, companies don't do good just out of the kindness of their hearts. Not everybody can be Lenovo. Do you have any consideration for how you're going to convince these companies to actually go do this? Like, why aren't they doing it already?
Because many companies, they just find it really simple to just throw away food at the end of the day. And so what we can do is we can work with nonprofits, right, to help go collect that food at the end of the day, or we can help like bring some attention, because as you can see, we can like make posts on here, we can bring some attention to whatever they need to throw away. So I think using those strategies, we can help convince companies to help donate more.
I also want to address your concern earlier about like verifying people. So when nonprofits register for like the tax exemption or whatever, they have to get a nonprofit number, and so like that verifies them. So that's also a public database on the IRS. So we can include that inside of our app for the verification system. So nonprofits can verify, businesses can also verify, we're local businesses, I'm the owner here. And so that can also help improve the trustworthiness of our app.
Yeah, and to further address that question, like obviously bigger companies may not want to work with this application because of liability issues or the poisoning or anything. That's why we want to connect with those nonprofits and local businesses. Like a local farmers market, they have local produce that we could easily verify that's one of our next steps for SavR. And by connecting with those applications, that way we can produce healthy meals. Because we also want to produce healthy meals. It's not just that we want to give them donuts or anything. And that's why we're connecting with those smaller businesses.
Kudos on the name of the app. It just really sort of captures what you're trying to accomplish. Play on words, restaurants and prepared food. The prepared and leftover food raise questions for me. I don't know if you talked to Second Harvest or the Central Food Bank of North Carolina. There are very few food banks that will accept prepared or leftover food. They tend to prefer canned and non-perishable goods or things like sweet potatoes. So I don't know, what did they have to say about accepting donations from restaurants?
Definitely. So I think they do have restrictions because they don't know what's in the food, especially for like allergies and stuff. That's why they don't accept all kinds of food. But for our app, we can also use this as a social platform for like community gatherings of food, right? So let's say a restaurant does have a lot of surplus food. We can organize a community gathering with a nonprofit. So at that location, we might just be able to host like a community potluck or something like that. And then we can help get rid of the surplus prepared food that we can't necessarily donate.
To also add on to that question, it doesn't have to be prepared meals, but just produce itself, because the amount of times, the countless times that I've thrown out just, healthy produce that we just haven't used because we've just overstocked on items. And so that's why we want to make use of the app.
Perfect.
Can I ask it anyway?
Yeah.
Did you look at like competitors like Too Good To Go? Have you heard of that?
I haven't heard of these apps. But I think we do try to take a more unique approach compared to other apps, because we try to use more like a social community-based app, not really like a trading app. We don't really like that. So we try to gather people together and try to form a social community where people can just share food.
Cool.
Good to hear.